This is LauraJthe.Treetalker. Today I'm talking to a Japanese maple cultivar called Sangukatu, or the coral-barked maple. I asked it to speak about the current immigration issues in this country. I began by saying, "You have heard many observe that the cruelty is the point. Is that how you see it?" "Yes and no," it said. "As you may have already realized, the cruelty is not the primary intent, but is experienced by the enactors of these offensive policies as a gratifying side effect, something akin to masochism. The real action here is the implementation of policies in a Blitzkrieg fashion, which puts opposing forces off balance, allowing the intended results to be established as a precedent, so they will be difficult to rescind." The word Blitzkrieg, meaning lightning war, describes the tactic of launching series of quick and decisive short battles to deliver a knockout blow to an enemy state before it can fully mobilize. In your current situation, by the way everyone in other branches of government and members of the media have been largely shocked into inaction, at least up until recently, the tactic seems to have been fairly successful. "True enough," I observed. "Does that mean we should ignore the cruelty?" "No, of course not," it replied. "Obviously, it's easy to get fixated on the cruelty because of your emotional reaction. But, however outrageous the cruelty is, it is not the main goal of those engaging in these tactics. The real point is power and domination over the system of democracy itself, the system that proclaims that there is equal justice under the law." "Pretty ambitious," I said. "Sounds like it's a great time to be a lawyer." "Seems so," it answered. "Of course, equal justice for all is only an expressed ideal. The reality, as it operates in everyday cases in your courts, is much more subtle and has been slowly chipped away at through the influence of money. Greed is a fundamental flaw of human nature, and this is well understood by and regularly utilized as what amounts to a weapon of war by those who wish to gain power and influence. That is why all the great teachers of all the great religions warn to be vigilant, not to let avarice creep into your lives and interactions with others. The instinct to not only protect what you have, but acquire more and more, even if it is by shameful means, is present in the hearts of all but a few rare individuals. However, avarice is a fault that can be self-recognized easily and countered, although the act of countering is what requires some work. Once someone has been seduced by the lure of riches, it is very hard to pull away. It brings on a kind of insanity. "Well," I said, "I guess you could say that ultimately all our problems boil down to greed." It replied, "That could be the truth. However, in terms of the cruelty, those enacting these policies at their nastiest simply regard the victims as useful pawns, or at the nicest as collateral damage. The challenge to those employed in righting these wrongs is to be able to work on multiple issues simultaneously. But, as you say, great time to be a lawyer, and we can tackle the issue of greed with a capital G some other time." And that's all of my conversation with Sangukatu, the coral-barked maple. If you enjoy my conversations with the trees, please like, subscribe, and share with your nature-loving and somewhat broad-minded friends. For those of you who'd like to stick around to see some pictures of this tree, hang around for a few minutes. For everyone else, this is LauraJthe.Treetalker. Thanks you very much for watching, and I hope to see you soon.